Pitch the Tide, Rising Tides Live. I'm your host, Mike Biseglia. I'm filling in for Shawn Walchef today, although we will see from Shawn as he will be one of the Sharks here as we pitch the Tide. We're excited to have Ward Olgreen joining us, Chief Operating Officer at Red Onion. He'll be on stage in just a matter of moments as he pitches to our community, to our great people who will give tremendous feedback here for this restaurant technology showcase. Don't forget, we're always live Wednesday and Fridays, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific time. And before I bring Ward onto the stage, just some general knowledge for anybody that's watching this right now. Ward will come on stage. He's going to give his presentation, generally go around 10 minutes or so. After that, we will bring on the rest of the community to give feedback in real time. If this is something that you're interested in doing, please let me know. Email me, mike@calibbq.media. If you'd like to pitch the Tide, or if on one of our Wednesday shows, you'd like to come on with Rising Tides Live. So with that, let's not keep Ward any longer. Let's bring him on stage. Ward, it is good to see you. Looking forward for your pitch. And are you ready to get rolling?
Oh, yeah, I'm always ready. I want to really appreciate the opportunity to get in front of the group I'm lucky enough to meet with periodically on Wednesdays and Fridays. Myself, Ward Olgreen, I'm the COO, Chief Operating Officer for Red Onion. I've been in the industry for over 40 years. I was a CEO for a couple of Sun Capital brands. Now I've been involved in technology for over 9 years. I've had demos go for more than 4 hours, so trying to boil this down to 10 minutes is going to be pretty fun. But if anybody sees this, wants a personal demo, I'm happy to just reach out, let me know.
Beautiful. All right, Ward. So with that, I'm going to leave the stage. I'll bring our Sharks on the stage, get your presentation rolling. We'll see you in about 10 minutes or so, and have a fantastic show, okay?
Appreciate it. Thanks. And with that, I know that Dean's really big about talking about the storytelling, and his ideas like Red Onion really come from a lot of wild places. Am I going? Okay, good. And actually, our co-founders met playing poker, if you can imagine, and talking about what they do uniquely different. They found that they had different experiences that combined to actually solve marketing's dilemma around proving the value of ROI as it relates to spend. Because as the old saying goes, when sales goes up, operations gets a bonus, but when sales go down, marketing gets fired. So hence, which our original name was Marketing Vitals, and we started in 2014. Those are some of our clients. Obviously, we're very proud of the list. These are typically the entire brand. We just brought on Wendy's as a major franchisee down in Puerto Rico. But we typically work with either corporate franchise groups, domestic, international, QSR to fine dining. If you want to move to the next slide. There we go. This is kind of an example of some of our integrations. We can build integrations, typically new point of sale within 7 to 10 days. Pretty quick. The same gentleman's been here since day one, builds all of our integrations, does all our development. But we recently started as Marketing Vitals. Again, we solved that dilemma of what and why in relation to spend. And as we started adding on the integrations, we started adding on more analytics, more operations, field people, finance. Everybody could use our product, which is why we changed our name, rebranded to Red Onion in May of 2023. Red Onion as in peel the layers back of your business, slice and dice your data, right? You can move the next slide. Yeah, I kind of jumbled up there, but it's fine. But ultimately what we're doing is we're pulling in 3+ full years of historical transaction detail. We're tying that to payment token to start to understand frequency of a guest and or credit card initially. And then we're tying all that information to marketing events, loyalty data, and any way that we can learn more about what happened behind that transaction, inclusive of first name and last name of that guest and or text, phone numbers and emails, which allows us to then segment guests by way of spend patterns and menu preference, frequency, etc., for smarter outbound messaging out to the guests. You can jump to the last one. This is just a bunch of information, but you can kind of read through it. But at the end of the day, what our product is really doing is we're building layers of of fact-based intelligence towards responsible strategic decision making. I mean, we're an education tool, we're a communication tool. We're not just a bunch of spreadsheets. This is true machine learning. We've been doing it for 10 years. We're not like the recent people want to say I'm AI. We've been doing this for a long time and are trusted by a lot of our customers. Some of our customers have been with us 10 years on a month-to-month SaaS program. And for us, tracking top line sales is our pure goal, is generating better ways to generate sales, because you can boil costs down like crazy, but at the end of the day, unless you're growing top line, you're going to struggle with making your business survive. But if you want to switch me over now to, we'll actually just jump onto actual product and kind of show you some of the things and how we use them. Let me see if I can see. Yeah, so there you go. You're probably seeing kind of a blue line across the screen. This is just a dashboard that you land on. It's really not supposed to blow your socks off, but it kind of shows you cool things like what's the average visits per fan. For us, a fan is a trackable guest. It shows you how many new guests came in through over the last week and what percentage of those guests came back in. So ultimately, you're trying to understand what drives the growth of the business. This is a fairly static board, but if you do open these, you're going to see how that information plays out per day part. You can also rebuild this relative to a person's goals, and like a field person might need to see something different in culinary or finance, right? So you can go back and forth between that. We've got a huge list of analytics, again, all designed to help individual roles of the company be smarter about what they're doing. I think our powerhouse is Event Vitals, because we built this to help marketing better understand the impact of when you spend money, here's what you get. You can pick and choose which KPIs you want to look at. Ultimately, you can take any one of these, open it up, and it's going to build a story. Because you'll always talk about storytelling, right? We were kind of like the original storyteller. Because what we're able to show on a per event basis, an event to us could be a remodel, it could be an LTO, it could be a marketing spend, it could be a pricing change, right? We're going to be able to show you what was going on prior to the event, what happened during and post-event. Our technology actually generates a English language. It explains to you what happened during that event, and it gives you an outlook relative to what's going forward. So what's really cool is, in relation to whatever that event is just basically kind of saying, here's the delta, here's the changes that event caused. So this, you can get attributed to the event that caused it, right? But this isn't really actionable. This is directional. This kind of lets you know, how did you do? But gross sales could be up 4%, but should it have been up 8% if you would actually solve the negative aspects of that? Things going to happen during an event like this. So we actually go even deeper into sub KPIs, because gross sales is important, but maybe you won't understand, how are gross sales for non-alcoholic, gross sales for dining, right? So it's all these individual sub KPIs where you really learn truly what happened during an event, to start to learn, what was positive. Here was something positive but turned negative. Here was something that was negative and continued negative. So how can I tamp this down? How can I figure this out, and how can I magnify this, right? So it really gets deep. I mean, we're a true analytic tool. If I jump into something else, I like Bullseye. It's just a cool visual. But any of our analytics, you can set this up however you want to, whatever revenue center you want to look at, whatever year, whatever day part. It makes it really easy to play with it and move it around. Ultimately, we call it Bullseye, obvious, right? But what you're looking at is like all the different days of the year, all your Tuesdays, Mondays, Sundays. If I come closer, these are your weeks of the year. You'll see that little white box populates the sales of that cell, right? These are your periods of the year, all the way to your entire year in sales. If I want to look at what's happening on a go-forward basis, I can look at what events are scheduled, right? I can actually go back to overview and say, I want to see what my sales are looking like going forward. I just click this, automatically builds up like predicted sales going forward. I can look at what holidays are coming forward, events and holidays. We go back to overview. Like to show me what holidays are coming up. Sorry, it's kind of catching up here. We go back to a period. There we go. You show me the events that are scheduled. You show me the holidays that happened in that period. And you can actually do a direct alignment relative to sales. So like Valentine's Day happened on a different week this year versus last year. So instead of a giant spike followed by a dip, you can actually do an automatic alignment. You can see what weather impacted. So it's just cool ways to be able to jump into that. Menu, of course, is always important to everybody. We look at menu analysis and get really deep, really quick. but we also look for things like, what is something as a promoter. In other words, these are customers that have ordered this on a first time basis. So I can actually filter all your menu items very quickly relative to who's ordering what and when. So all these customers here are ordering these menu items on a first time basis because they're showing up as a promoter. They're actually also showing as a fan favorite. That means that they've ordered on a first time basis and that same customer has reordered it. So this is what you're looking for. Now this item here, chicken fajita, it's being ordered, but it's not regularly being ordered. So that's immediate red flag. So you click it again, they'll show you how that's happening relative to all the locations, right? So it's showing me that, wow, people are ordering, but they're not consistently reordering that. So that's, it's obviously it's a recipe issue, not executional from that standpoint. Still goes really deep. I can show a lot of columns. I can look at category sales, category profit. I know I'm going really fast. There's a lot. I'm not trying to show you everything, just trying to get a good glimpse of the different kind of things that we can do. If I look at it like an extension of this, you can actually go into menu cannibalizations. Having trade-offs relative to changing menu or changing offers is really important. Our ability to look at this, where we actually look at projected first, because we're always projecting out. In other words, what would happen if nothing else happens outside of what the machine learning knows, and then we overlay actual. In this case, we put the chilada on a special price. So yeah, we drove more chilada sales, but the byproduct was people traded down from Corona and down from Anselai. So it's kind of a menu cannibalization meter to show you, was this profitable or non-profitable as far as that change. One of my favorite is actually going into concept fans, which is a cool place to go into to start to understand your fan visitations relative to a location. Each one of these blue squares is a store. I can actually get down to the level of understanding. This is a group of customers that only came in once. All right, so this never came in once, never came back. You can start to understand what are the attributes of the people that did not come back. Is there a certain menu item that may be driving that change? Or my favorite data points is there a certain employee or a couple of employees that when seeing a first-time guest, have a greater chance of that guest never coming back as a comparison to other employees. So the amount of information is just extensive, and it just goes deeper and deeper the farther you want to go. And ultimately, we're a month-to-month SaaS program platform. We try to drive value on a monthly basis, on a daily basis, from that standpoint, because people do not have to say, but they ultimately choose to. In relation to what you do with all this information, we also have ways of segmenting the guests. So as we're accumulating all the information, we actually are building a profile per person. It starts to show you, their name, first name, last name, what's their email, what's their phone number. If I scroll across here, it starts to show lifetime spend. If I click on that, and if this is actual real data, it would actually pull up every one of their transactions, where they spent that and such, right? It's going to show you when the last time they came in, or a coupon user. What's really important is their individual visit frequency, and are they lapsed according to that versus some arbitrary number like 6 weeks. I can also, if I don't like these groups, I can actually create a group from scratch by going from identities to attributes, which is really cool. I can just kind of come in here and say, I want to grab a certain person by way of diet or dish type, people who like appetizers. All right, I can go and jump into different menus, maybe a certain type of diet, maybe that they're looking for high protein. I can come in and grab a certain gender. Maybe I don't have enough females coming into our business. Also, what you're doing is laying down a crumb trail to say, every one of these people, and I started with 20,000 guests, I boiled this down to 5,000, but of that 5,000, they're all going to like appetizers, be females that like high protein, which then allows you the ability to target them with a message that's going to be relevant to how they spend, inclusive of lifestyle. So it's how they spend and how they act. At the end of the day, we're an education tool, we're a communication tool, because you can share this information between other users. We are unlimited users. We're really a strategic decision-making tool versus just another vendor that's shooting you, spreadsheets and calling it AI. So with that, that's about as fast as I can go with a lot of information, but look forward to any questions and any thoughts.
Great work, Ward. Good job pitching the tide. Appreciate it. We'll get our team now who's up on stage, and we'll do some feedback. So feedback will be given. Then, Ward, of course, if there's anything you want to say, conversation. And this is open dialogue, so anybody can just jump in at any point, of course. But we'll start it off with Jason Berkowitz. Jason, introduce yourself, and then some feedback for Ward.
Jason Berkowitz, longtime restaurant operator, founder of Arrow Up Training. We help restaurants satisfy their compliance, level up their teams, and develop their supervisors into leaders, and help develop managers into people who understand what to do with this data, this fantastic data that you're doing. I think at the end of the day, it comes down to the action items, and the ability to point and shoot. I have a very specific question with this. I think it'd be very helpful, and I wonder if you connect to it. Picking the next location, that you're able to really leverage the socio-demographic information of all these guests, and then if you're working with brokers and their teams to really say that spot, this guest, this rent, this is what you can feel comfortable with doing, and how that works out. And obviously, great job pitching. You've been doing this, and so let's dive into the details of how you're helping.
Yeah, there's a lot of site selection tools out there that you can utilize. And the cool thing is we actually have the ability to seek out lookalikes of your best guests in a trade area, and then go out to similar trade areas by way of site selection to identify, who are the key people in that trade area that would be favorably responsive in a similar way, right? So yeah, we have the ability to go out there and seek them out, and then our mutual clients could actually then take that information, fold it together to identify, yeah, this is great traffic. I'm on the right side relative to traffic flow, and oh, by the way, we've identified 12,000 guests who appear to be similar to our best guests in a similar trade area, that may be 2 cities away.
It's great, and I can see the value in it. Follow-up question: you talked about really doing a profile on each guest. How are you able to sort of sort the information or assist the managers in turning a B2C guest? So, right, they're a customer coming in, figuring out that they have a business, and then setting up a way that you can get their catering business, let's say, or something like that, or do their holiday parties and turn that into a B2B sort of play. Is there that sort of transition that you help with?
Well, a lot of it is we're taking historical, right? So it's like anything. If somebody historically had done catering before, then you could segment just out your catering customers and then retarget them with messages that are very relevant to the kind of business that they're doing. It's not magic, right? So we can only use data that we can develop. But at the same time, you could bring in and target those businesses you want to look at, target them with a message, and then we'd be able to track whether they came back in through Event Vitals and responded to that offer. Because the one thing our industry does a bad job of is we send out very broad offers to very splintered customers. You have somebody who says, I can only spend $10, and you send them a $20 offer. Well, they're not going to respond. Or somebody who's willing to spend $40, and you send them a $20 offer, and you just wasted $20. So to your point, yeah, we have the ability to segment out only catering customers so you can message them with a something offer that makes sense.
Cool. Thanks for the time.
Sure.
And Jason, if you want to select our next shark, I'll let you pick.
We going popcorn like Dean called out on Wednesday. I love that he called. I was watching from afar. I love that he called out popcorn. Spencer, just because you're right there in the view, you're exactly where the menu would be, where I am, Spencer. If we were going to create the menu of I would bold the box of the item I wanted to pick. That's where you're sitting in my screen.
Your eyes are just drawn to me. Is that?
My eyes are drawn to obviously Lisbeth Hill here, but you're there.
I get it. Yeah, it's a burden, and a curse. Ward, awesome job. I think we talk a lot about, as far as your pitch is concerned. I think we talk a lot about storytelling and telling your story and such. Obviously, you got right to the nuts and bolts of what this does, and I think that fits not only with your personality but with just the platform itself. I think you're a direct person. You come with expertise. You know what you're talking about. You can. I'm sure you're familiar with the Challenger sale. Back in the day, that was a bit of a book that was about how to sell and selling in a down economy, and people that were able to challenge their customers actually ended up being more successful, and not in a very respectful way, as in coming in as like, I'm going to teach and I'm going to tailor what I say, and I'm going to show you something that you maybe have not seen before, and I'm coming in with authority. I feel that that's exactly how you come across, and I think it works perfectly. So I love this product. I think I've seen it previously. I think Ward, we may have met a couple of years ago at Back of House. maybe not. But I think I've seen it before, because I remember it being, we deal with back of house, we help restaurants find technology, backofhouse.io. We work with a lot of SMBs, a lot of smaller companies. So this is definitely, an enterprise level, higher level type of product, which is maybe why we didn't kind of find the synergy. But, this is awesome stuff. And, I love that kind of level of data analytics when you can find that amount of data flowing in, and you can look at it in a completely different way. It's like, when I sell this item, what actually happens in my restaurant? Because it might not be what I think happens. And there might be some changes that I can do that actually make this slightly more profitable. So when you have that large amount of information to gather through, and someone or a product like Red Onions is going to package it up, and you can just click on it and it gives you all this insight, I find that really cool. So cool product. I think great pitch. Is there, obviously you're compiling data. Is there requirements from what data platforms? Obviously you've got these integrations. Are there some integrations that are better than others without, naming names? Are there some that you're getting better data from, or does it just really, you're combing through and you're finding what you find, and you can sort of do what you want to do with it?
Well, for the most part, every point of sale system that we pull data in from, you're getting every data point that you see on the transaction. Your ticket, your receipt, right? And for the most part, we have a way of gathering that data, so it makes it really easy. So the point of sale system doesn't have to do anything special. They just turn the data onto us. We pull it in as we need to. But for the most part, everybody's got the same. And they got start time, end time. They got the employee that served them. They got the product, any modifications. So from that standpoint, we don't seem to have any issue with point of sale. The only difference is some are cloud-based. This makes it easier. Then we have one contact point with the point of sale system, and may bring in 1,000 locations through that contact instead of having to go to each location, to do a data collector, connected to that point of sale system to pull it in from that store. But the one thing good is we're only single direction. We're only pulling data. So we're never a burden to the point of sale. So we're never pushing answers back out, because, if you have webhooks and all this other stuff where you're, working direct, day to day with the scheduling systems like that, it can be a burden, right? But we're only pulling data because we're analytics, right? We're strategic decision making, which you're really usually going to do on full day of business, not rather gathering data at noon. So we connect 4:00 in the morning for a couple seconds, pulling that previous day's data, lay that on top of the previous 3 years' data, so they have refreshed answers every morning.
So you don't need to build these fairly aggressive, two-way RESTful APIs.
No,
you're just extracting, which is, that makes it a whole lot easier.
And it makes it easier to work with, companies like yourself, because a lot of times we can just receive files from you and different partners instead of having a difficult integration with a vendor. Because again, analytics, you're not doing it during the day. So it makes it really easy to either have an integration or just receive files on a daily basis or even a weekly basis. If it's something that's not moving, every minute, and you need answers, more strategic at a corporate level, sometimes we might pull files weekly.
Is there a favorite graph or dashboard piece or something that really resonates where the customers kind of lean in, like, oh, what is that? Show me more of that.
It reflects, it's based on their pain points, because that's one of the first questions, what keeps you up at night? Right. So we usually start there, because if we can solve things for them, then we're the hero. But I don't want to sell what I want to sell. I want to sell what helps their business be more profitable and ultimately drive sales, because, there's so many ways to cut costs, and it's really easy to extrapolate that out. You can say, hey, if you change pickle vendors, you're going to save 12 cents a portion, and you can multiply that out, and the CFOs go crazy and they throw a party, right? At the end of the day, it's hard to prove out marketing and impact. And that's what we do, because it's the action or reaction relative to the guest. It's how are you improving the business in the eyes of every guest by way of how their spend changes at every transaction level.
Perfect. Yeah, I think restaurants are extremely data rich. Most of that data just flows out the exhaust pipe. So, you're capturing it. And I think it's really cool. Okay. My eyes are always drawn to Elizabeth Doss. So especially with the hat and the candy, those are candy cane cat ears? Is that what they are? So I will go there.
Oh, she gets a full screen moment there. Yeah, they're jingle bells. I don't know if you can hear it. Anyway, okay. All the things. Oh, Ward, thank you so much for sharing. I love when you jumped into the showing us the features and stuff, because it really did help like kind of say, oh wow, you have all these tools and these adjustable
And y'all
part of
saw
things.
10%. I mean, seriously, y'all saw 10%.
Right, right. So here's so my name is Elizabeth Doss, and I am a content creator, social media manager, as well as I create animated GIFs for businesses to use, that they can show up in GIF search across platforms. It's another fun place to show up online. Anyway, so I am approaching this from a couple of different directions, so hang with me. I think my number one thing that I was realizing is Spotify started it several years ago with Spotify Wrapped, and a lot of other accounts are creating their own Spotify Wrapped version of it. I've gotten one from Apple to show me like my music stuff. YouTube is sending them out to people of things that have gone on, but this would be a fascinating way for restaurants to be able to do that, and even potentially create like social media content from it, like we sold 7,000 burgers, in the month, whatever the number is, but have these little nods to collecting, using that data as a wrapped, like for the end of the year type thing. I thought was interesting. I was thinking about
cool, but every one of those things that you send out like that.
Yeah.
Because one of the conferences they're talking about influencers and impressions. We really don't understand the ROI, but we keep throwing out. We spend $1,000 on this guy or whatever. We can actually show the ROI of every one of those events.
Wow. Yeah.
Because we can actually say, here's everything that changed in your business as a byproduct starting this day. It went for a week. We can show you down to the most granular format. Here's what changed. Because to throw money out on something like that and not knowing what you're getting for it is how marketing people get in trouble.
Right.
Especially today. The old days you could do that, right? You said, did you do your job this year? Yeah, I spent my entire 6%, on marketing, but they couldn't actually prove the ROI. But we can do that for them. And it's so easy because we show what moves.
That's brilliant. My other thing was I was thinking about Jason and the Arrow Up training while you were talking a little bit, because of the features that of collecting the data in this way could really fuel the training side of things. Because Jason talks a lot about microdose learning, and even like he'll create. They've created GIFs and they've created these other ways. But what I was thinking of is that there's these microdose learnings that could come out of the data that's like when people repeatedly buy this steak, they often buy this dessert. So your staff knows to say, hey, we hope you enjoyed that. Would you like this? And not just say, would you like dessert tonight? But knowing that somehow those two dishes are linked over time, and just say, and making the upsell very specific to the data side of things, and just to kind of play to see if that works. Or like say you have employee incentives. So like Sam on your team, like, because you said it shows you what server they had. Sam sells the most appetizers. Well, what is Sam doing different at the beginning of the interaction that a piece of training, even Sam being highlighted saying, this is what I do when I go up to the table, and but using kind of retrofitting those things to kind of say, this is what's working. And so let's highlight around that side of things. And so
address some of those real quick. So what's really interesting on the training, so actually we are working with a company in relation to taking what they're learning about employees post-training and their impact or performance, and then actually reverse a pen to go backwards in time to say, okay, who's doing the training and how good are they at that, versus just, I've done my job, I've trained you, now I cut you loose, cut the tether, and now it's your job to be successful, versus that trainer ever taking any accountability for how good of a job they're doing. So we're actually taking our information and going backwards in time to work with people like that. Plus also you mentioned employees and dessert sales. So we have an employee playbook analytic, which actually does it uniquely different. So it's not total sales, because that's driven by the schedule, the shifts, favoritism. What we do is per 100 guests during like periods. So in other words, if you're working Tuesday's lunch, you would never be compared to somebody working Friday's dinner.
Right.
And so you start to look at, for every 100 guests you saw, how many desserts did you sell? And then you can be able to compare that and identify who's the best, maybe identify them as a trainer. How do I do it? When do I introduce it? And then you compare it to everybody else. It's a great graphic for all the employees to look at to say, hey, Maria, you're the best. Help us understand, how to do this. Because nobody wants to be dead last on the list. And then you mentioned about linking things about dishes. So we have one of our analytics shows that, let's say on beverages, where the person that orders some kind of a brandy, here's what they typically pair that with. So you start to generate natural pairings that you could advertise, in the bar area or in the dining room or outside, because you're learning this by, areas of the restaurant versus accumulating it all together, thinking that the people in the drive-through buy the exact same way as the people in the diner or outside seating or back area or bar. So we're able to segment all that down into different groups, different spend levels. So again, you're starting to target your business and micro target your internal business, along with micro target your guests as well.
That's awesome. And my last thing before I hand it off to Dean. And so get ready, Dean. But it's when you were showing the circles, which I thought was really cool to line up all of the Tuesdays together, because like you were saying, like numbers and stuff. But I thought it was great to have that holidays thing. Obviously, I'm into holidays, but to be able to say, Valentine's Day is on a Tuesday this year. That's interesting. Like next year, Christmas is on a Friday, so that may change the sales for December in 2026, is because Friday's like your biggest day, but everybody's going to be home or you're going to be closed that day. And so kind of thinking through how to handle that, how to advertise that, all those things. Anyway, so I thought that was a really great,
It's the reason why we bring on 3 years, 3 months, is to identify seasonality. So it is, how does a Valentine's Day act on a early week, midweek, weekend? So when we project out sales, because we're taking all this information to project out sales, not just in relation to budget, because budget's a made up number. And it's usually made up 6 months ago or a year ago. Right. But, so we're trying to, take year over year, last 15 weeks, current trends, and then fold in marketing that's scheduled. That's been done before, because the machine learning will learn that every time you roll out an LTO, your sales bump 4%. So that's also folded in. So marketing already gets credit for what's going to happen. And then operations is judged against the projected sales, inclusive of the marketing, right? And so, which is really interesting, because often operations gets credit for a bump in sales when actually marketing should get it.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Ward.
Thanks.
I'll hand things over to Dean.
Dino.
Hey, what's going on, Ward? Dean LeBay calling down here in New Orleans. It kicked me off earlier because of my Wi-Fi. I'm a retired paperclip salesman now, working for Cali Barbecue Media in the consulting business. Ward, great presentation. I know a little bit about the company, and Elizabeth stole my conversation piece, because I was going to talk about kind of the same thing about the data that this thing collects that you got, Red Onion, peeling back the layers. She's right. And Jason knows this too. But let's say you're doing 100 restaurants, and the same person keeps coming up that's making the most, added sales, add-on sales. Do you want fries with that? Whatever, however you want to phrase it. You can narrow that down and find out exactly who it is, what it is, when it is, and then everything that's around it. And if the same person keeps coming up, you can, it's like a pipeline. You can drill it down to find out exactly where the problem is, where you need the pain point is. And that's the way I understand it. And I'm pretty sure that's right. It like Arrow Up, they do, they train people, they do processes and all that. But also, if you're Red Onion, if a fryer goes out, talking about back of the house, if a fryer goes out, you can see how much that damage that does to that restaurant during that particular time. Thus, it'll help you make decisions about, well, maybe we need to have another fryer sitting in the side, so when something breaks down, we make sure that we don't lose any business. And you're right, the data doesn't lie. No matter what anybody wants to tell you, the data, it just doesn't lie. And y'all drill down to get to, the marketing alone, who's coming, when they're coming, I mean, if you just did that, if you just did nothing but email marketing to the people that are actually in your restaurant, the restaurant would improve its business. But I mean, that's not even the tip of the iceberg of what your stuff will do. And I don't know. I think you got a great product. I told you you had a great product 3 years ago, and you know, we, you know, Shawn, I don't know if you know this, but when I went to NRA the first time that y'all sent me to, you know, Ward was one of the people that I hadn't had a conversation with, and he had a little red onion squeezy. I've got it here at the house somewhere because I brought it from Longview to here because I was just so impressed. Great presentation. Like I said, it kicked me off. I missed a little bit, but I'm glad that I know a little bit about the company so I can at least have a conversation. I think you did a great job. I think you've got a great product, and I guess we're playing popcorn. I'll pass this off to somebody else.
Wait. I want to talk about some of the things you mentioned. That's okay.
Okay, cool.
So because we talk about drilling down, actually we're granular and build up, which is different, right? Instead of taking this mass, we go as granular as possible and build all the information up to make it easier to segment. But you mentioned like a fryer going out. You know, so one thing you never remember next week, next year. Oh yes, right. Last year a fryer went out and we lost a bunch of business. You could actually set that up as an event to understand what happened, or if you had construction up front, that's an event. Right. You know, a competitor moves in, that's an event. You start to understand, what did that do to my business? I mean, if it's a drive-through carryout location, it's going to impact your drive-through carryout, but it won't, you know, it shouldn't have impacted your dine-in. So there's different ways you can look at that, like running out of product. I mean, in the old days, you'd send 12 cases of something to everybody. You know, one place can't give it away, but they sold the same as the other guy who sold the 12 cases in 4 days. You know, if you don't set that as an event, you'll never know that we roll this out next year. One place needs to get 2 cases, the other one needs to get 20.
Right.
So being able to set that as an event to learn and make decisions is what helps, but also the relevance of messaging. You know, you start to finally understand that if you send a steak offer to a vegetarian, you're probably going to lose the customer because they're like, I've been there 20 times. How can you not know what I like? And so to be able to segment the guest by way of menu and spend and frequency, they appreciate emails that are relevant. You send them, you know, a single diner, a family offer, they're like, why am I getting this? You know, so the ability to segment the information is one of the key aspects of our product. But thank you, Dean.
Well, I appreciate it, Ward. I'm, like I said, a longtime fan, and yeah, on the email marketing end of it, what I was, you're right, you know, but you know, if you know that they've got, if a customer comes to your place more than twice, you should know about them. You should know their name. You should know what's going on in their life. And targeting that should be easier with the analyticals that you provide. So 100% correct.
What's really cool is, you know, we learn a lot before we even know the customer segment, because we're tracking credit cards. So we're tracking frequency of a credit card, right? Because, you know, we're PII, we're PCI compliant. We've gone through complete SOC 2 Type 2 certification for companies like Darden's, CBK. But so we answer questions about your business first before we even get to the messaging part. You know, we don't need to know who the guest is to solve problems around why is this not working, why is this not selling, because it's a menu-based item. It's menu and spend in relation to trade area. I mean, because corporate does a great job with understanding training processes, how to teach, how to build, right? But they don't know enough about each trade area, and that's where we come in to help individual franchisees, and we really help franchisors. We kind of fill the gap of trust that happens between a franchisor and franchisee, because, you know, often a brand new FBC walks in, and the 20-year owner is like, what can you teach me? And the FBC can easily say, I'm not here to teach you anything. I'm here to use Red Onion to show you what your guests are saying in your trade area about your products, your selling process, and your people. Cool. And that's why I actually love both, because I come from that end of the world.
Right. Okay, cool. I guess pass it off to Hildy. You next.
Did you save the best for last? Everybody else is gone.
And Shawn's still to go as well.
Oh, he's definitely the best for last, but I'll be the last female. How's that? Hi, Ward. Apologize that I came in after your presentation, but kudos, because that forced me to find you on LinkedIn and then find your website. And I am from the world of promotional products. So while I didn't hear your pitch, I want to let you know, and I'm super picky about this, and I would definitely say if I didn't like, but I love the Red Onion logo. If you have not yet embroidered it, it will embroider beautifully just to let you know. Yeah, like yeah, gorgeous. I love the colors of your website. I love the consistency, the fonts, how everything is laid out. I hope one day for you to remove formally marketing vitals, because I don't think anybody really cares about that.
That's this year that goes away, actually. Good job.
I love the scrolling of all the clients, because if you don't know one, you at least know some that are scrolling, and it makes your business model really come across to me like you're very successful and powerful. I mean, if you went on my new website, and I just launched a business last month, all it says is sign up here for your emails. So really, really well done. I love all of the little icons of the food. I love how you explain things, your words, and you're not putting all the words in a big paragraph. It's split between colors and pictures and slides. And I think it's really, really well done. So I have nothing else to say unless you have a question for me. I'm definitely an expert in promotional products. And I hope you have someone local, as I see you do if you have something embroidered. But if you ever need some free advice, I'm happy to help.
No, let's connect afterwards. I mean, we're always doing some embroidery as we go to new events or a place that's cold versus one that's hot. We a lot of times
You never know.
we're looking for. I know we were probably looking for vests for Chicago next year. Something that you can wear anything and have a single color vest that anybody can wear on top of anything. So it makes it easy.
Yeah, you never know. And it could be something as simple as, I mean, I wouldn't give out anything that's a red onion, but maybe you give out boxes of tissues because onions make people cry.
No, actually, well, yeah, we talk about that. We eliminate crying in the business because of what we do with our.
So giving out tissues, especially at a trade show event, would be genius, because everybody wants tissue, especially when their nose is running in the freezing cold Chicago weather.
I feel bad now because I don't have one of our squeezy or stress ball red onions.
I'm anti.
We do give out the stress ball red onions at the
I don't
major
like
events,
those. That's not my jam, but tissues would be a great one, right, Elizabeth?
Oh yeah, well let me ask you, because then can they be printed tissues?
I wouldn't do printed tissues. Okay. Would be a waste of money, but just the box. So every time they pull a tissue out of it, they're always going to be thinking about you and not crying.
That's a good idea. I like that.
But that's just off the craziness of my creative genius.
So I will.
The stress squeeze balls weren't scented with onions. I was just letting you know they were. So it's not like you walk back home and all of a sudden you smell like Italian smorgasbord.
What were you going to say, Elizabeth?
So I'll throw this life hack in there, and I'm talking to a room full of chefs, so I don't even know why I'm saying this out loud. But if you light a candle next to where you are chopping an onion, it will ignite the fumes that come from the onion, and you won't cry. I've done it for years now, and it keeps your eyes from watering when you're chopping up an onion. So if you had red onion labeled candles and said, light this the next time you're cutting an onion. Anyway,
that's another great idea. Candles.
Turn it up.
Don't cry.
I've actually never heard that, Elizabeth. So, you know what it was when I was a young cook, what my advice was when I was cutting onions? Shut up and take it. And I don't want to hear from you for the rest of the day. That was the advice that I was.
That could be the name of the candle. Shut up and take it. I'm just kidding.
Shut up and take it. I like it.
Very, very clever.
Cool.
Okay,
Thank
Shawn.
you, Hildy. Yep. Shawn, you're up.
What's up, Ward? Great job.
Thanks.
I love the fact that you led with the logos, instant credibility. One thing that I would suggest is from the storytelling standpoint, is make a logo come alive with a human. So give us a testimonial from somebody that, is a Wendy, they work at Wendy's, or they're a Wendy's franchisee, whoever it is, make that person that uses red onion come alive and tell us, before we had red onion, this is what we had to do, and we didn't have any reports to tell us. And after red onion, this is, why we love working. Even, getting as personal as why do they love working with you specifically? Like it's the bigger companies are, even small companies, the way that you stand out is through humans. And that's why we humanize everything we do. You have customers that you work with, that you've worked with for a long time, that I'm sure love working with you and have given you referrals. Tell us about those. Don't be shy to share that information, because
Actually what's great about that is we do get testimonials, people like Randy DeWitt, at Twin Peaks and the Front Burner Group. But actually talking about that is with our analysts, our data analysts who work with them on a regular basis. getting input from them about how hard they work to make their brand successful.
Yep.
But because all of our testimonials are more so about the product instead of about the person. So I love that. Thank you.
Make it about the humans too. The other thing, like, thank you for showing the product. That was great. Love the fact that you did a deep dive into the product. Question I have for you is, does Red Onion give customer acquisition cost? Is that a statistic that you can?
Well, yeah, you can actually fold in the cost of the ROI for your event. So in other words, as you market in any form or fashion, if you put up a billboard, you can assign a value of that billboard. And then we actually have that event vitals I showed you before, during, and after. We have a campaign vitals. This gets down to the level of looking at the people who responded to that versus the people who did not. And you start to learn, how much did they spend as response to that billboard. And then what's really cool is you're then able to look forward, what's the residual value of that person over the next 30, 60, 90 days. Because marketing, as a previous CEO, I used to demand of marketing, I want to pay for this marketing spend during the event itself, which was never fair. But we can prove out what's the extended value, residual value of that new customer over the next 30, 60, 90 days, which also rewards operations for getting the trial to come back for a retrial.
Do you track lifetime value also?
Yes. Yeah, once we build a profile for a guest, here's the other thing that's cool. Let's say if your guest starts to come in, but they use 3 different credit cards over the course of the first year. As soon as we can tie those 3 different credit cards together to a single loyalty platform, right, then we auto merge those credit cards. Now that becomes one person, and you can go back in time and look back as far as you want and see every single transaction. Do they spend always in the drive-through? Do they spend always in the dine? Do they always use coupons? So yeah, we're definitely building a lifetime value of every single guest.
Yeah, I'm curious because the more that I learn about customer acquisition cost to lifetime value, which is a metric that is tracked specifically in e-commerce businesses, but in major businesses, I'm curious as to why in restaurants it's not a bigger deal than it is, especially given the omni-channel nature of how many different platforms we're selling, why we need to track marketing costs. Like the fact that we don't have those numbers readily available on the P&L at manager meetings it's shocking to me. And I'll continue to find out why, and find companies like you that help restaurant operators have that customer acquisition cost to lifetime value.
Yeah, it's like I said, you just got to have the data, and then you got to know how to work it and grind it out. A lot of it is through the segmenting of that data to be able to tie this spend to that. So it really, kudos to the developers who came behind, and worked all this out. I'm an ops guy, right? And so I try to present it in the way an ops person would want to see it. Because what we don't want is something that's designed in a bubble that's not, doesn't live in reality,
Well,
so it's
you did a phenomenal job, Ward. I actually have to go. I'm officiating Steven Swiderski, who's part of this community. He is our catering manager at Cali Barbecue. Today is his wedding day. So the Wolfpack, I'm going to go get ready to go officiate his wedding. Shout out to Steven and Amanda, and shout out to the community. Great job, Ward. Mike, pass it over to you, my friend.
Thank you, Shawn. And yeah, have fun. Enjoy that. Very cool. Congrats to Steven and Amanda. For me, just some feedback, kind of piggybacking on what Shawn said, as somebody without that restaurant technology background and that restaurant background, once you really got into showing off the back end with the site and everything, it really clicked in my head. I know, when you're showcasing it to people that probably will have more information than I do from a surface level, but once I saw that, it like really clicked in my head. I was like, okay, that is super, super cool. So from my perspective, getting right into that, it really clicked in my head, all of everything that you had to offer at Red Onion and everything you were doing for everybody.
Yeah, and honestly, it's designed to be kind of like, there's golden nuggets that right on the ground level, right? And there's more effort. We got to dig deeper to get the smaller nuggets and deeper, but ours is really designed so there's areas that are really easy, like insights, where you just have 33 different reports. It's just a click and build report, where you can change it, move it around, you can clone it, you can do all kinds of things. You can take it and go broadcast. I want to broadcast this to these 12 managers that I'm responsible for, and do an impromptu meeting. So it's easy in a way, but once you start getting deeper, you gotta know the product. But then that's usually by, let's say if we have 1,000 unit brand, they may have a set of analysts. And so we would be working with them as a group And then they go off and spend who knows how much time, right? Grinding and grinding to try to, save, $5 per location, 1,000 is $5,000. So they pay for their time by way of eking out those small wins, where the big wins are pretty obvious and can be, identified by just about anybody.
Great. Let's do a tip takeaway homework assignment. We'll end with Ward, but we'll start it off with Spencer. Go ahead. Tip takeaway homework assignment.
Yeah, thank you. I guess the tip that I think was Ward, you had touched on it on the where you guys start with the tokenized payment card information. I think that is, if I won't go into the nitty gritty of tokenized payment card information, because that's probably something maybe you've never heard of, or maybe out there if you're watching you haven't heard of. But that's something definitely you should Google about what that is and how important it is. And if you're a restaurant and you're looking for a company, I mean, it is an absolute data gold mine about your customers. And if you want to know more about who's coming and going and the effectiveness of your marketing and such, a company like Red Onion that is compiling tokenized payment card information and putting into some useful insights is an absolute gold mine, and you should be looking into it. So that's my tip out there to the restaurant folks of the world. Thank you, Ward. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Elizabeth, tip takeaway homework assignment.
Yeah, sure. I just wanted to say, if anybody is listening through the podcast and you want to know what Ward is talking about, if you go to the Cali Barbecue Media YouTube channel and search for Ward's session, you can scrub through and find and watch the beginning again, so that you can actually see the behind the scenes of how the interface works. And I think it would really be helpful for those of you that are listening to actually see what he's talking about. So I just wanted to recommend that and that's true for all of these Pitch the Tides. If you're listening and want to know more, make sure you go over to the YouTube channel to check it out. And my homework assignment, and when it's Ward's turn, is what's the best way to get in contact with you or for more information, etc. But we can hold off until the end for that. But that was my last thing. Anyway, Merry Christmas.
Hildy, tip takeaway homework assignment.
Tip for Ward: if I were you, I would stop with the onion stress balls and pivot. Here's my genius idea based on the conversation. Anytime you want, you should be sending via email, via text, or in the real UPS or regular mail recipes that wouldn't be great without red onions. And that's a great way to get your foot in the door. So I can't live without I love pickled red onions. So you could send a recipe out on one side of the card, and on the other side of the card could be your information. Or again, maybe you're sending, I don't know, a little pocket knife or just something that goes with red onions that isn't the obvious. And I think that that's a great way for you to promote yourself, even if you're at a trade show, handing out recipe cards with something clever attached to them. People like to touch, but I'm just anti-stress balls because they're just not earth friendly. They end up in dogs' mouths and kids' toy boxes, and I just think it's a waste of money. But there are a lot of things you can do that cost less than a stress ball that would really make people never forget you. And for me, I don't ever want to forget you. I don't want to start crying because I forgot about my red onion. So that's my tip to you. All right, Mike, go pick
Appreciate
the next
that.
one.
Thank you, Hildy. Dean LeBay, tip takeaway homework assignment.
Oh, I don't really have a tip. My takeaway and my homework is I need to learn more about what Ward is doing. Like I said, I've spent some time trying to figure it out, and I ain't the sharpest tool in the shed. I know that, but I know that what he does, I know that he gets down to the root of the problem and finds the pain points. And in today's restaurant industry, there's a lot of pain points because prices aren't going down. So helping any program that can help you save money and figure out where, cost of acquisition and find out what Shawn was talking about, how much a customer costs to get in the door. It's one thing to get them in the door. It's the other thing to retain them. And I think part of your program, what it does is it gives you specific information on how to retain those clients that you actually enjoy having in your restaurant. So that's all I've got. And homework, like I said, be back on Wednesday. I'll be back at the shop and with a better Wi-Fi connection. I apologize for getting bounced off. Maybe I need to pay my T-Mobile bill. But anyway, listen, appreciate being here. Appreciate you, Ward. fantastic presentation. Thanks.
Thanks, Dean.
Thank you, Dean. Takeaway from myself is just blown away with the technology as somebody that's been introduced to everything probably in the last year who had zero knowledge. When I see things like this today, Ward, it just really gets me thinking in a different way that I never had a year and a half ago. So I just get excited because I can have conversations with people and be a little more knowledgeable than I've been in the past. So appreciate that and just kind of having fun with that. For you, Ward, love a tip, takeaway, homework assignment. And then I want to make sure to get to Elizabeth's question of best place people could reach you, get in touch with Red Onion. So please make sure to give out all that information, and I'll make sure to share that in the show notes as well for people that are listening or watching this when it's repurposed.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it. I mean, my tip is just the restaurants industry. You're sitting on a ton of data. I mean, you're literally sitting on it while vendors and other people are monetizing it. I mean, the trick is use a company like us, use somebody that's similar to us. I don't care, but just use the data in a smart way to generate profit positive sales. There's a big difference between sales and profit positive sales, right? Profit positive is strategic in nature, not reactionary. I will push out this podcast, obviously, on my LinkedIn channel. I will push it out there. To get a hold of me, it's simple, wardo@redonion.ai. Pretty easy to remember. For anybody out there listening, I'm happy to do demos. It's what I do is speak about our product in ways of reality. And I'd love to talk to different, I don't care what that industry is, whether it's fine dining to QSR. I've done most, if not all of them. And I can really make a difference for any company moving forward because it is about driving top line sales. And that's what we do.
Beautiful. Thank you, Ward, for pitching the tide. Thank you for everybody joining today and giving all that great feedback. This will be repurposed. It comes out. It's on YouTube Live, so it's there for anybody now. But also go out on Apple and Spotify and a feature article as well that will come out next week. So make sure if you're listening to this for the first time, you can check out those other assets and other places to see the show. But Ward, thank you so much for pitching the tide. We'll be back on Wednesday for Rising Tides Live. If you have an idea, if you want to join the show, join Rising Tides Live, email us podcast@calibbq.media. If you'd like to pitch the tide, you can send it that email. You can get in touch with me, Mike, at calibbq.media. We're looking now towards mid-January. So if you're seeing this and you'd like to pitch the tide, please let me know. But that's it for today. Have a wonderful weekend, everybody. And we will see you on Wednesday. Take care.
Guys, appreciate it. Thanks for all the feedback.